Thank you, Kelly. I cannot talk real well because I got a really bad cold. So I'm going to turn it over to the other foundation board members.
Thanks, Fran. Sorry you're not feeling well. Tom Willitson, nice to have you here. Alan, my condolences. I'm sorry about your mother. She's a neat lady. Matt, thanks for all the cool prizes.
Yeah, hey.
Yeah, wow.
Enjoy.
Now you got something to do on Valentine's Day. Instead, you want to go to Domino's or Starbucks? And then maybe we'll go bowling too.
If you have time.
Well,
Coffee and pizza.
welcome everyone. Thank you for attending today's presentation. Our club is special for many reasons. Most of all because of all of you and all of us were special. But we're also special because we have our very own foundation, which is something many organizations do not have, including many Rotary clubs. So today we want to update you about your Peoria North Foundation and how through your generosity and the generosity of many Rotarians that came before us, how we do some pretty cool and amazing things in the community, which you will hear about. Let me start with a few names. You see some up there. Ed Seibert. Ed Seibert joined Rotary North in December 1994. Okay. Bob Lamoureux. Bob was Ed's sponsor. Ed, who managed Caterpillar Foundation, contacted Jim Tomlin, I don't think Jim's here, and said, Jim, let's talk about having a foundation for Peoria Rotary North. Okay, enter Susie Smith. Susie Smith, then president, first female president of Peoria Rotary North. Yay! You get a lot of attention. Good, it's well deserved. So they put their heads together and said, all right, let's submit a proposal. So they submitted a proposal to Rotary International for us to have our own foundation. Okay, so the club at the time provided the $10,000 of seed money, if you will, funded it, and in 1998, the Peoria Rotary North Foundation was born. Okay, back to Ed Seibert, who's the first president of the foundation. Susie Smith, secretary. Jim Tomlin, the director. You'll see some other names on there. I believe Brock Bryce is your brother. Brother Bryce Hesse, the brother of Brock, was the treasurer. Kathy Fuller, who many of you remember, she retired. Other names on there, I'm sure many of you know. Go back to Bob Lamoureux. His name's not up there, but upon his passing several years ago, we were gifted $100,000 from his family, and you'll hear about the Lamoureux Endowment, which we've had for many years. Additionally, our annual appeal was created in 2005, and since then well over $400,000 has been generously collected from all of us and raised for many of our initiatives, which you're again going to hear about very shortly from Katie. Lastly, your Peoria North Foundation operates under a constitution, bylaws, and has a mission and objective statement, and is governed by members of our club. Okay, so now for a little fun, we're going to roll the video. The video we made, this was almost 5 years, it would be 5 years this fall, I think, that we made this video. You're going to recognize most, if not all, the people in there. A couple people no longer with us. Jay, unfortunately, left us too soon. Jenny Bridenbaugh moved away, but the other people are here, and it's a really cool video, so go ahead. If we'll cue that up, please.
Rotary brings together a global network of volunteers who dedicate their time and talents to tackle the world's challenges. Their work impacts lives both at an international and local level. The Peoria North Foundation provides scholarships, grants, and community assistance wherever it's needed, locally. Let's take a look at the impact we've already made.
So Peoria Regional Learning Center has been around for about 6 years now. We just graduated our 122nd student. We had 18 graduate in May, and these are kids that just fell through the cracks at their home school. They just didn't fit in, so they might have been bullied. Some of these students have a ridiculously hardship at home in their home life. We have students that have gone from 0 attendance to 90% plus. They're graduating, they're going on to further education, to trades. They've rebuilt themselves.
We partner with local organizations that already have events going on to supply volunteers. We also have a few of our own projects that we undertake, such as a little free library at Roosevelt School, Heinz Butterfly Garden at Heinz Primary School. One of our very popular projects is Tee It Up for the Troops, which is a golf event in Peoria for veterans. So we supply the majority of the volunteers on the golf course. There's so many good organizations in Peoria that operate with a minimal budget, and so money that you give to the foundation, you can be assured through local projects, stays right here in the community.
It's for us, it's basically, we know that we're here to help those that are in need. And it's something that I take pride in. I've got a family at home, got 2 boys, and it's a way for me to show them as they grow up that, hey, it's not always about what we want, it's about what we can do for others.
We have a program where we are readers with Roosevelt School, and so we go in and we help the kindergartners get more proficient at reading, and we just spend some time, and it's not just the reading that we're giving them, it's being able to be a role model, being able just to talk to them and find out what's going on in their lives and giving them some one-on-one attention. We're doing that individually with each child, but it's going to make a big impact.
I've been involved in numerous committees, and right now I'm very active in the scholarship committee. The foundation gives up to 10 college scholarships a year. They must be involved in either Rotary or Interact. Rotary is the college level, and Interact is the high school level.
I was not born in Peoria, I didn't grow up here, but I have made some of the best friends I have through this club, through going out and serving our community.
There's so many things that we do. Every month there's a project that you can get involved in.
And just the amount of impact that we're able to offer in the community, it's just, I feel blessed to be able to do that with these amazing people.
Great. Tom Bauer would let us, team of us that put that thing together several years ago. Pretty neat to see Jason there. Look at Kelly Evans. Now she's a president, right? Pretty neat. Great piece. You can get that on our website, I'm sure. So if you have interested prospective members, if you ever want to show that to them, it's really, again, pretty neat piece. So with that, let me turn over to Katie Mueller, and Katie's going to give you a little more in-depth particulars as to where your money comes from and where it goes and what we do with it.
Thank you, Greg. I am pleased to share how Rotary raises funds and also how the funds are spent. And if you are one of those people that likes numbers, you are in for a treat. I'll start with how the money is raised and earned. For a typical Rotary year, new funds come in through the following avenues. The annual appeal raises around $31,000. The raffle brings in about $10,000. The scooter, $1,000. Grants right around $3,000. The Good News Boot, $1,000. Capital gains, $2,500. And dividends around $5,000. Now we'll move on to the fun part, which is this, and one of my most favorite things to do, spending the money. I'll start with the most used fund, which is appropriately called the unrestricted fund, which currently has a total of $172,117. Some club-supported projects that are funded through this account include the RI Foundation project. Budget is about $3,000. RILA's budget is $1,500. Sterling Merit Banquet budget is about $5,000. Interact and Rotaract budget is $1,500, and other miscellaneous items right around $6,700. Also included in funding for our Rotary committees is funding for our Rotary committees, and I also wanted to share the impactful projects our committees accomplished in 2021. In March, the Roosevelt Magnet Spiritware and incentives were given. In April, PRLC's school donation and various supplies and needs were given. In May, the Roosevelt Magnet end-of-year goodie bags were given. Some special projects that were accomplished in March, the Peoria Public Schools water station, District 150 schools, that was around $6,000. In April, we had the COVID project and the water bottles for Roosevelt Magnet, right about $1,000. And then we had grant projects around $3,000, and that included the Roosevelt Mag Playaway devices and accessories. We had some local projects, including neighborhood house meals, mulch for Heinz School, and the Roosevelt Courtyard. We gave about $12,000 for community support grants, and we gave $1,000 for the Tornado Relief Fund. I think that's pretty darn neat. You guys accomplished a lot in 2021. So the next fund, if you want to go to the next slide, is the Lamoureux Fund. This fund was named after a longtime Rotarian, Bob Lamoureux, and upon his passing, Rotary was left with a generous bequest of $100,000. That's better. The fund has now grown to over $174,204, and those funds are now being used for scholarships. We typically give up to $10,000 a year, depending on applicants. In 2021, we awarded $7,000 in Interact scholarships, $500 in Rotaract scholarships, and $2,250 in Service Above Self scholarships. The next fund we'll cover is the Education Endowment Fund, which has a total of $249,271. Over the years, Rotarians have passed away and have left generous bequests to Rotary, and typically these funds go into the Education Endowment. This was our primary endowment fund before we had our Community Endowment Fund, and is used for scholarships, educational related activities, causes, and events. The last fund we'll cover is the Community Endowment, also known as the Ed Seibert Make a Difference Fund, and that has about $64,472. I'm going to read this. It's going to get a little technical, but I'm going to read the rules because I didn't know how to summarize this in a meaningful way. So the funds may be used for the following purposes: exclusively for charitable, religious, scientific, literary, cultural, or educational purposes in the greater Peoria area community. Number 2, periodically contribute to assets to assist organizations, associations, and institutions organized and operated for the purposes described in number 1. Number 3, comply with the expressed purpose of any restricted gift accepted by the Community Endowment Fund. Or number 4, such other purposes consistent with the purposes of the foundation may determine. And Mr. Bauer will be discussing the Ed Seibert Awards later in the program, and he'll talk a little bit more about that. I'd now like to turn it over to John Antrovis to discuss ways you can donate.
Well, thank you, Katie. And so I've shown you all these great ways, the things we do in the community to help out. And so it's kind of my job to help maybe give some encouragement of some ways you guys can give additional funds to the foundation. Maybe share a couple of ideas. I will say, since we're doing this on YouTube, I'm not giving tax, legal, or investment advice. You should consult your advisor before making any of these decisions. But Fran and I are happy, as we talk about some of these things, to share some other ideas around these, because again, a lot of these are very individualized, and so you may have some questions. And again, because of the brevity of time, I'm not going to fully explain every idea, because that'd be a half-an-hour presentation for each one of these. We're obviously not time for that. But so as all of you know, certainly you can give cash, check. We now have Venmo. We're very 21st century with our foundation, so you can use Venmo nowadays to give money. One of the areas I like to talk about is giving appreciated assets. So for some of you, and I'm going to kind of explain what this is and why it can be a benefit. But you can give appreciated assets. So let's say you bought some stock, back in the early 2000s. You bought ABC stock and you paid $5,000 for that. Well, today that stock has grown to $15,000. You're very charitably minded, and you think, maybe I would like to give some money to the foundation, and I'd like to give $15,000. So I've got $15,000 in the bank, and you're getting ready to write that check. But you could actually give some of that appreciated stock that you have to the foundation instead. Let me explain, why that could be a benefit. And obviously, the idea behind this is help encouraging us some larger gifts. So you've got that stock, it's grown by $10,000. Now, that stock really isn't worth $15,000 to you because you still owe taxes on that money. So, and again, there's different tax rates for different people, but let's just use a general example of you owe about 20% in capital gains tax both to the feds and to the state of Illinois. So really, of that $15,000, only $13,000 of that would be your money. If you gave that stock to the foundation, then they could actually sell that stock and they get the full benefit of the $15,000 being a not-for-profit. So that way you can keep your $15,000 in the bank. Let's take that idea a little bit further. Maybe then you decide you like that stock and still want to own it. You could take your $15,000 back out and purchase the stock again, but now instead of your basis being $5,000, it's $15,000. Why is that a benefit to you? Well, when you go to sell it at some point in the future, now instead of having to pay tax on that original $10,000 of gain, your basis is $15,000, so you'd pay taxes based upon that. The next thing for some of you might be taking your RMDs. This club does have a lot of senior members. So for those of you that are taking RMDs, you may or may not be aware there's a thing called a qualified charitable donation. This rule came out a couple years ago, and this allows you to give money from your RMD directly to a charity. And essentially, although it counts as your RMD for the year, which is a required minimum distribution, it essentially doesn't hit your tax return. And so that could help you on how much you pay taxes on your Social Security, on your Medicare, and just in general, lower your overall tax bill. So that's something for those of you that are in that situation to be looking into, and may help you give larger gifts. Of course, you could always make a bequest from your estate or make the foundation a beneficiary on your IRAs or other assets. And of course, the next things here are the charitable gift annuities and remainder trust. Those are more complicated, but there could be some other things. People are looking for ways to build a legacy for themselves that we could talk about. So I'll turn it over to Tom now, and he's going to talk about the Ed Seibert Award.
Okay. This is so neat from up here. Look out across the audience and see all these people that you care about. Matt Mahala. Matt Mahala takes care of the raffle all by himself. Valentine's time. Scott Whitlock, you just keep on going here. John Trovis, Katie. But I want to talk just a bit with you about the Ed Seibert designation. This was started as a way to say thanks for people who have donated $500 to our foundation. And, you know, just a side comment here. Look at the number of dollars in this foundation. Look what you have done since Ed Seibert started this in the middle 90s. This is good stuff. And the comment that's made here that not very many Rotary clubs have foundations. I've had the opportunity to not hang around, but to be present at some of the clubs up in the Chicago area. And I mention our foundation, they just kind of look at me. So $500 gets you in. If you want to do it in two separate lumps of $250 each, that works also. But there's a key word here. And Jay McCormick, for those of you who didn't know him well, that's a shame. Jay McCormick was a star. Miss him every day. And the comment about Don Shea, I got the same email. Jay McCormick said, Bauer, just make sure that everybody understands that there's one key word associated with our foundation, and the key word is local. If we want to give $100,000 to an African relief fund or something like that, that's super, but it doesn't come from our foundation, okay? These are dollars that are indicated for local use only. That's pretty neat. And you saw the numbers. That's impressive stuff. $500 to become an Ed Seibert Fellow, $250 twice. We'll get the job done. We'll get Joanna to do the legwork on the bookkeeping. Is that right? Uh-huh. Nothing. Okay.
She said yes.
Did she? Okay. Okay. So some of you have heard me say this before. If you have, Jim Bixby, if you have an idea, if you have a thought for where we might use $10,000 or $20,000, all of it, bring it up. Take it to the board of directors of our foundation, and then it will go from there to the board of directors of the club. Okay. If you wanted, a lot of people don't know this, Jim Bixby is a barber shopper. You can tell by looking at his haircut. He's a singer. That's where that fits in. But whatever it may be that you think would be a good thing for us to get involved in, if you've got an idea about what we can do with crime in the 60603 area, damn it, let's talk about it. We have some resources, and beyond the resources of the money, what we've really got is all of us. I've been asked at the time that we started to get involved in the Rotary Pavilion down in Park. I was asked, Howard, can you assemble manpower? And my answer was, watch us go. It's pretty impressive. If somebody needs 100 people to make a project of theirs work, we can do that. And if you say, okay, well, 100 people is terrific, but we also need $20,000. Can you come up with that? Our answer is yeah. All because of our foundation. That's pretty gratifying. And it would come to everybody's mind that I would not conclude all my thoughts here today without doing a little something, if I might, in the way of presentation to, in this case, Katie Neidetcher. Katie. I had the pleasure of being around Katie for part of her executive MBA experience at Bradley. If you've got something where you need the 100 people and you need the $20,000, go to Katie.
I'll go to the board.
She can make things happen. I asked her for just a quick resume, and there is precious little since you've been in the club that you have not been involved in. And today, you're adding to that your name on the plaque back here as an Ed Seibert Fellow. It goes like this. Katie Neidetcher is hereby named an Ed Seibert Make a Difference Fellow in recognition and appreciation of contributions provided to the foundation to support initiatives of the Rotary Club of Peoria North in the greater Peoria area. Katie.
I don't have a lot to say other than this could go to a lot of people at the club. I joined Rotary to get involved in the community and do good things and be surrounded by people who do that too. And so I really appreciate this and am proud to be along with everyone else. Thank you.
Greg Rasher.
Tom,
Tom, thank you. Thanks so much for all your always thoughtful words and input and your care for the club. Just the last slide. We didn't really talk about, but just you see the governors, if you will, governance of your foundation. Fran is the current president, Lynn Coleman, secretary, me, Tom Bauer, John Meisinger, Katie Mueller, John Antervis, Scott Weistert, and we have an opening. Sarah Palmer, I think, moved away. She was on our board. So if anyone would like to learn more about the foundation, maybe serve in a role on the foundation as one of our directors, we would welcome a conversation with you. So with that, I know we're winding down on time. I'll open up for any quick questions we may have. Yes, Andrea.
I know that you guys are doing some research into how the foundation spends its money, and you're sitting on a lot of cash, so I'm wondering what the future plans are. I know Tom said come up with ideas, and I told you we should better get on it. But what are our plans for using a bit more of this money to impact the community?
That's a great question, and I was going to bring that up, and Tom touched on it, but I'm not going to give concrete details right now, but there are people in place working on that. There's a fairly new committee formed looking at an aspect of that in terms, we've done a great job accumulating money. We really have. We need to do a better job of getting it back out in the community. That's been kind of an ongoing theme, so I don't think I'm talking out of turn here. We've talked about that for several years now. And so we've started some new initiatives, and I think you will probably be seeing other initiatives coming down the pipe at some point in the near future. So yeah, it's definitely on our presence of mind, and it is something we're taking very seriously because we've been good stewards of it, but we also want to be good stewards of the intention of those funds, right?
Can I add to that though, Greg?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do think one thing, sorry. So I would like to also say with that though, really what the club needs are more ideas. So there is probably some money to be spent, but we need ideas of how to do that. What's the best way to do it? What are the biggest needs? Like, there's a lot of crime happening out, and then we do around that with the schools. What are the needs out there? So bring those ideas, and then those ideas can possibly be funded. And I think that also is important too. As we're trying to raise funding, the more ideas we have, we can show what we're doing with money, the better it is for fundraising. But certainly bring those ideas forward so we can take those to the board and see where those go.